Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to start seated today. I have one block underneath me in the supported hero's pose position. You can start in a comfortable seat, whatever that means for your body. So, some options: you could sit in a chair, you could sit against the wall, you could have a different leg shape. If you have a couple blocks, a resistance band and gorgeous ball, rolled up towel, or blanket in place of that gorgeous ball nearby, these will be useful for this practice. So let's begin. Eyes opened or closed. Taking a few seconds here to be in your own arrival process. Tuning into the environment surrounding your body. Taking a moment if you need to adjust music, adjust body position, turn the phone on a mode where it will not disturb you. Sensing into your own internal environment. Sensations you can tune into happening inside of your body. And we'll come right into the beginning here together, paying attention to staying curious about the movement of the breath happening inside of us. So let's sense that motion of the breath coming in and out of your nose. Notice if you can tune into any holding patterns inside the low belly, mid belly, upper core, chest, jaw, tongue, eyes. And if there are some areas of tension or holding or constriction, let's see if we can soften those. Resting the tongue at the roof of the mouth, bringing the chin toward the chest and sensing that the neck comes in line with the rest of the spine. Either resting your hands on your thighs or in a comfortable spot, or having this feedback of the hands coming onto your lower torso around the low rib cage, down toward the space beneath the navel. Tuning in to the motion of breath coming into this part of you. We're going to move into our core breath, attending to the exhalation. So let's do this a couple times, if possible, in your space to exhale and take this pushing the air out of the mouth. Feeling that effort of your core muscles engaging to help to lift those upper ab muscles, to help to lift the diaphragm up into its resting position. We soften the belly and let that tension, that contraction release. Another time like this, we exhale through the mouth if possible. If not possible in your space, take your ujjayi breath, that constriction at the back of the throat, and we exhale. Exhale, exhale. So we're sensing this light constriction through the throat all the way into our core muscles, moving the diaphragm. And we soften those areas to allow the diaphragm to move into its opposite position. And then see if we can continue with this core breath without making any sound. So no sound at the back of the throat, no sound through the mouth now, but still sensing if you can feel this sort of idea of like if we're putting on a tight corset or the tightest pair of jeans and we have to pull from the back body into the front, the zipping in, pulling in, zipping up. From the pelvic floor all the way up into the top abs, we soften those top core muscles, middle core muscles, lower core muscles with the breath in. Try this 2 more times. A little pause at the bottom of the exhalation. Let's take a couple resetting breaths, meaning it's a natural nose breath without paying attention to how much volume of air coming in and out, without overly constricting the core. Just normal breath in and out of the nose. And then we're going to shift into 1 minute of subtle nose breath. So now we practice for 1 minute of time, less volume of air coming in and out of the nose. Still hands on the torso. If that feedback is helpful, so the motion of the breath is still coming into the lower torso. The breath now is quiet. And there's less air coming in and out, moving towards this place of a little bit of air hunger. But the amount of air hunger that you can stay with, not go into panic, but just maybe be a little uncomfortable. But the discomfort doesn't take you out of the practice. And just holding this open curiosity of the physiological changes we can sense happening inside as we slow the breath down, as we take in a little bit less. Good, and then let's reset here. Natural, normal breath. Let's stay with our nose breath as we consider bringing some bigger movements into our body. I'll remind you, nose breath. Okay, let's come on to hands and knees. And we'll start to move the body forward and back. So from this tabletop position, we'll curl those toes under. Bring your bum toward your heels, shoulders forward of the wrists. Bum, squeezing those toes into the ground, bum toward the heels, shifting your body weight a little side to side, shoulders forward of the wrists. Coming onto the tops of the feet, bum toward the heels, shifting your hands wider, turning the fingers out, shoulders forward of the wrists, slightly, and then start to take your body weight side to side. The shoulders start to back away from the wrists. And then again, we push the bum toward the heels, pushing your tops of the feet into the ground. Look at your hands, turn your fingers to face in toward one another, bringing your shoulders forward of the wrists and starting to take a circle of your body weight. So the wrists move in this sort of circular pattern. You think your forearms moving this circular pattern. So we get this interesting sense of stretch. Different parts of the hands and forearms. Good. Good. And then from this position, we'll curl the toes under, bring your hands wide, just feel comfortable in your hands and arms. Bring your knees to point out to the sides, big toes reaching toward one another, and bum toward the heel. You can feel free to let your shoulders relax, your elbows soften. Maybe the weight of the head releases a little farther down to the ground. Good, and then let's shift forward, bring the thighs together, shift your shins out wide so our thighs go slightly internally rotated and the bum goes toward your heels. Shift the body weight forward, and then one more time, bum toward the heels. Little squeeze of your legs in toward one another and down toward the floor, or into the floor. Good. Shift forward, send your shins straight back, curl the toes under, and bum toward the heels. And then bring the tops of the feet down. Let's come down onto the forearms if possible. Again, let's rest the forehead, soften the shoulders. Have a moment in this shape. This could be a very possible shape in your body. For some of us, we might be a little bit more lifted in this shape, so just honor those sensations in your knees and your back. Great. Great. And then from this position, come forward. We're going to come down onto our forearms and step your knees back. And we'll come down onto the front of the body here. Let's hold on to tight fists. Start to lower your chest down, forehead down. Sense your shoulder blades moving toward your spine. And then do the opposite. We're going to push the shoulder blades away from the spine. Feel that broad upper back. Press your fists into the ground. Forearms, elbows into the ground. And then release. Sternum, forehead toward the floor. Again, we push down. Elbows, forearms, fists. Shoulder blades move away from the spine. And we sink down. Good. One more time like this. Keeping your neck in line with the rest of the spine. We're going to stay lifted. Curl the toes under and start to lift the low ribs, the navel, the hips, some of the top of the thighs away from the ground. And starting to notice this effort, the pushing of your body weight away from the floor, as well as the subtle engagement, different parts of the back body. So there's some broadening of the upper back, a slight engagement of the bum, squeeze of the toes into the ground. Notice where you feel the effort in the front body and the back body here together. And then let's notice if we can stay with our subtle nose breath. Few more seconds. That's it. Wonderful. And then let's take the thighs down, the hips down, the navel, the rib cage, the chest, the elbows spin out to the sides, rest your forehead onto the back of your hands. Notice where you feel that sense of tension dispersing, muscles relaxing, that aliveness inside of some different parts of your body. And then let's start to shift the hips a little side to side. We'll bend the knees and let the lower legs and feet windshield wiper side to side, letting your pelvis go along for the ride. Good. And then from this position, we take those legs, we lengthen them back out, bring the hands either side of the chest. We're going to push up either from this position or from our forearms into a plank. So I want you to be intentional of how you're pushing your body weight away from the floor. So we sense that hovering plank position first. So we're nice and long and sort of straight in the back, and then pushing up onto the forearms and knees or hands and knees. So choose that hand position or forearm position where you know you can come into that straight, strong back, front core, and we arrive together, hands and knees. Excellent. Let's bring our hands to our blocks. If we have blocks, no worries if blocks are not there at this moment. If you have blocks, let's start to grip into the blocks and we'll come into our downward facing dog shape. So let's have the toes facing straight forward. And in this down dog, we're going to step into the down dog in a way that the heels can be touching the mat. So if we're having blocks again, we're gripping into those blocks, or you might be gripping your hands into the mat. Toes are facing straight forward. And we keep the heels down and bend the knees and straighten the legs 3 times with the legs in this shape. Again, we keep the heels down, relax the weight of the head down, bend and straighten. Good. Once you've done those 3, let's take the feet wide, legs wide, turn your toes out, the heels ground down, and we bend the knees wide and straighten the legs. 2 more times, letting your spine, chest press back toward those inner thighs. As you bend the knees, we straighten the legs back off. Good. Bend wide, squeezing those feet into the ground to straighten the legs. Once you've done the 3 in that range, let's go into our internal rotation, toes pointing in, heels out, heels rooting into the ground, knees bend. In toward one another, we straighten the legs. Bend and straighten. Last one here, we bend and straighten. Very nice. Turn the toes forward. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet. Bending the knees and arriving into your standing forward bend. And let's start to rock the body weight around your feet, forward toward your toes, body weight back toward your heels, over to the other foot. We circle around. Let's go the opposite direction. Good. Good. We bring it back to center. We'll bend the knees straight forward, toes facing straight forward. Rest your forearms on your thighs and tune into the spine position. So let's sense that our spine is parallel to the floor. So forearms resting on your knees. Crown of the head and tailbone are reaching out long. Sensing a strength and a length in your lower back. A little squeeze of the feet into the floor, torso parallel to the ground. Keep pushing the feet into the floor and see if you can hold the shape and hover your forearms off of your thighs. And then we'll keep the spine in the same shape and rise up to stand, reaching our arms out into this V shape. Good. And then coming right back into that same squat, deep squat with our torso parallel to the ground. To straighten the legs, to come up to stand, push into the feet. Feel some engagement in the front of the legs and the back of the legs as we rise up to stand. Arms go into the V shape. We come right back into that hinge. Forearms resting on the thighs. Check in with your head. Your neck position in line with the length of the spine out through the tailbone. We push down to rise up. That's it. One more time like this. Lowering. Pausing here for a moment. Wonderful. Let's rise back up to stand. Very nice. And let's circle those arms out to the sides and all the way down. Great. Roll out your shoulder blades a little bit here. And then the option to take this into a little bit of a bigger movement if you like. You can stay with a little bit of the shoulder blades. The option to start to take this into a little bit of a shoulder bounce. The option to start to bounce out through your knees and through your heels. And we just give about 30 seconds of a little wiggle out. So we wiggle, we bounce, we let loose, shake out those wrists, shake out those shoulders, bounce, 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 bounce. You could even bring it into a light jump if jumping is in your practices, you feel confident and comfortable in. Give a little shimmy of those hips side to side. Again, knees, ribs, shoulders, head, wrists, all the parts. Give a little wiggle and go 5 seconds as vigorous as you feel called to do in the second. And then we pause. Pausing 10 seconds. Coming back to that awareness of your nose breath, that sense of tingling or aliveness that you can sense happening inside your body. Wonderful. Good. All right, from this position, we're going to bend down. We're going to bring one of our blocks in between our lower legs. So in between the calf muscles are right above your ankles. Have your toes facing forward. If you need a little bit of support with balance, you can come to a wall space or have a chair nearby. And we're just going to start to lift and lower off of our heels. So sensing if we can lift the heels straight off the floor. If we can imagine, there's a little pencil sprouting out from the crown of our head, and that pencil stays pointing straight up. Noticing this extra layer. If you choose to bring it in, breath. Can we ask the breath to stay lower in the torso? Nose breath. Lifting the heels, little squeeze into those lower legs. Lowering the heels down with control. So just holding the block in place. Lifting, lowering. Fabulous. A few more times. Hold at the top, a little squeeze. Releasing down. This last one, we're going to try to release down as slow as possible. Taking 5, maybe 7 seconds to lower those heels down. Excellent. Let's bring the hands to the hips. Think of your chair pose, kind of classic chair pose in your yoga practice. We're going to add a little variety to this. We have the block. We're going to lightly squeeze into the block. Let your knees track forward over your ankles. Send your bum back. Sit down into that imaginary chair. Tune into the sensations, front core, back core, thighs, lower back. Again, a little squeeze into the block, little squeeze of your feet into the ground. Notice what sensations change inside your trunk as we reach those arms forward. Alongside those ears or towards that, straighten the legs, release the arms. Same position with the legs, the bum, the spine. This time we take our arms out into a V shape. A breath in and out. Straighten the legs, release the arms. Good. Take those arms out into a T shape. Same position, legs, bum, heart, nose breath. Straighten the legs, release the arms. Another time, same with the legs, spine, block, gentle squeeze, pull the arms back and in toward the spine. Release, straighten the legs. Good. One more time. Let's see if possible. We take that knee bend a little bit deeper, but push the bum back. Keep the chest lifted. Feel strong in your lower back. Reach the arms forward. Pushing into the toes, the heels, the block. Notice where you sense the engagement. Front, core, back, core. Straighten the legs. Whew. We release those arms, release the block. Step your feet together. That's it. Come onto the top of your right foot. Top of the left foot. One more time on each side, top of the foot. Shift the heel a little side to side. Other side. Very good. All right. Legs come closer together. And we're going to step this right ankle behind the left ankle and over to the left side. We're going to stay on those right toes. Reach your right arm up. Take a little side bend into the right side body. Gaze down toward your left fingertips. Have a little space between the top of that right arm and ear. Imagine you can just be taking a few breaths into that right lung, right side body. Good. Release the arm. We step the feet back toward one another. Let's try it on the other side. Left foot over to the right side. We stay on the toes. We start to lean over to the right side. So we're stretching, lengthening into left side body. Bring the gaze down toward your right hand, filling up this left lung. Torso upright, we bring it back to center. Very nice. Feet about hip bone distance apart. Let's take our arms out into that V shape. We slowly sit down into our squat with our torso coming parallel to the ground. Pause for a moment. Release the weight of the head down toward the floor. And take a circle. Head. So imagining that pencil sprouting out from the crown of the head, we draw a circle on the floor a couple times each direction. And if you have the blocks, we're going to take a hold of the blocks. Let the head come back to a centered position, we walk it into our downward facing dog shape with our legs closer together. Gripping into the floor are your blocks. Let's lift off of the heels. We're going to take our right ankle over to the left edge of our mat, our surface. Root down that right heel, reaching out through the right fingertip, shifting your bum, pelvis over toward that right heel. One breath into right side body. Good. Back to center. Shift it over to the other side. Left ankle over to the right side. Left heel rooting down. Shifting the pelvis over toward that left heel, reaching out through right fingertips. Relaxing the weight of the head. Strong right arm, right hand. Good. Back to center we go. Very nice. Good. Let's bring those hands off of our blocks if you have them. Yes, we'll bring our knees down to the floor, coming down onto the forearms. We'll take a mini cat-cow for the spine. So think of that back bend, shifting your chest forward, forehead toward your fists. As we bring the bum toward the heels, tuck the bum, shift your body weight back. We'll do that one more time. We shift forward, taking a mini back bend here. And then round through the lower spine, shift the body weight back toward your heels. Excellent. From this position, we're going to come forward. So those shoulders are right on top of our elbows. We step our knees back, arrive into this active Sphinx position. So we're going to, again, broaden through the upper back. Send your neck in line with the rest of the spine. Send your tailbone toward your heels. Option to stay right here. Option 2, curl the toes under. Start to lift navel, pelvis, some of the top of the thighs, some of the lower thighs away from the ground. A little hovering forearm plank. See if you can start to get a little lighter on your knees. Or you stay in more of that active Sphinx position. 2 more breaths in whatever shape you're in. Feeling free to add any variety, especially if you're in the Sphinx pose. You might add some gentle neck movements. Good. Good, and let's all start to lower down onto the front of the body, forehead resting on the back of your hands. Bend your knees. Start to shift your lower legs and hips side to side. Good. Good. From this position, and let's be intentional about how we come up onto our hands and knees. So we can think of that forearm plank, or lifting up into a knees down plank with arms straight, keeping the spine nice and neutral. We rise, hands and knees, shifting the feet over to one side, and we're here in a seated position. Let's scooch the bum forward toward the middle of the mat. Let's have our resistance band, gorgeous ball, and or towel handy. We're going to have the gorgeous ball, if you have it, for your head as we lay down onto the back here. So let's have a moment. So gorgeous ball underneath the head, or we could have a blanket, right? Little towel for a little bit of neck support. Let's have your knees bent. Resting your arms out to the sides, letting the weight of the spine settle down to the ground. Wonderful. From this position, let's take our band and we're going to wrap it around your right foot. So what we're going to do here is pull down on that band so the weight of the leg can be fully held, or quite a bit held, we'll say, with the band here. We can wrap that band around our right hand. I'm going to invite you to start to take this right leg in a nice big circular pattern all the way around. And for this, here towards the end of our time together, I'm going to invite you to let your pelvis, your spine, that left side of your pelvis, rock and roll a little bit, as long as this is feeling good to do so in your body. So you might sense a little bit of this, rotation, side to side movement in different parts of your spine, as well as this right leg moving through space. Again, we're pulling back on that band, so you have this sense that the band is supporting the weight of the leg, moving through these bigger ranges. Good, and let's keep the leg lifted. Pull down on that band so it's tugging your toes back toward your face. And then we'll start to externally rotate that whole leg and internally rotate the whole leg. Now we're keeping the pelvis nice and steady, kind of anchor or push that left foot into the ground, and we externally and internally rotate the whole leg. Pause, and that internal rotation, pull down on that band. Shift into the external rotation, pause in that position. Good. Bring the leg back to center. Relax the foot in the band. Good. Release the band away from the foot. Give this leg a little bit of a shake out. And then with control, lower this right leg all the way to the floor. Pause here for a moment. And to notice the sense of circulation, what we might call aliveness, or any inner sensations you can tune into inside of your body. Okay, let's bend the right knee. We'll try this with the left side. Left foot goes into the band. We tug down. All right, so it pulls our foot into that flexed position. We can wrap both edges of the band into our left hand. And then we can start to take this leg in a nice big circular pattern. So a couple different ways to do this. We can keep the pelvis and the lower back really steady, not wavering. Or here toward the end of the practice, and what sometimes I feel helpful, just kind of more of a feel good, an easygoing movement for some bodies, is just taking the leg in the circular pattern, letting the torso, letting the pelvis rock side to side as we're doing this big circle. But if that doesn't feel good for you, right, you can hold steady through pelvis, lower back, and keep that motion right in the hip. And then just notice if we can start to quiet the breath down. And a breath that you can't hear, it's quiet, it's subtle. And then let's all bring that left leg back to center, root that right foot into the ground, And we will externally and internally rotate this whole left leg. Hold the external rotation, squeeze into that range. Take it to the other side. That's it. That internal rotation, we pause. And then great, back to center. Release the band from the foot. We'll give that leg a nice shake, shake, shake. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Toes as well. And then with control, let's lower that leg all the way down to the floor. Let's meet the right leg. Lower the right leg to meet the left leg. Give the bum a little wiggle. Lift and lower your upper back, bum as you feel called to do. So we can settle into more of a restful shape for a few seconds here together. Choose a leg position, an arm position that feel comfortable for you to settle into for a few seconds, up to a minute. So let's take 20 seconds to be with that motion of air happening inside the lower torso. Try on the subtle breath. Less volume of air for a few seconds, in and out of the nose. Good. Returning to a natural, normal breath. And let's take 20 seconds to be with one of our senses, some part of your sensory experience right now that is enjoyable to be with, that is interesting to you. Good, and let's come back to the awareness of your body resting in this shape. And let's bend the knees together. We'll send the feet out to the edges of the mat. Feet wide, knees wide, arms out into this big V shape. We'll take the knees over to the right side, a subtle engagement of the left glute. As we lower that left knee down, we'll reach out through that left arm, all the way through the fingertips. Allow that engagement go. We'll shift the knees over to the right side. Knees over to the left side. We'll start to engage the right glute, reaching out through right fingertips, down through that right knee. Good. Let that engagement release. Shift your head and your knees side to side a few times. This windshield wipering motion of the legs, head shifting side to side. And then we'll find our way up to a seated position where we'll pause for just a few more seconds together in this mini transition before shifting into whatever you have coming next in your day. Sensing into the space surrounding your body. 360 degrees of awareness above you, behind you, to both sides, and front below. Sensing into the internal environment inside, what feels slightly shifted, different, interesting, curious to be with. Reminder of your nose breath and continuing with your nose breath throughout the day. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you very soon. Thank you.